Pile of Flame is back again. So today we have just a few leaks. These are ones that have just been appearing on Reddit. Obviously, these will be confirmed on Wednesday of this week when the embargo is lifted. So let's take a look at them. So apparently, what we didn't actually get to see in the job trailer, we saw how the gauge kind of interacted with that new shadow clone. I believe it's called Living Shadow for Dark Knight. But the little, we can see here, there's a little like Dark Knight icon that never was actually lit up in the trailer from any abilities that they did. So let's read what this one's saying. So it says, this timer indicates the duration of Dark Side. Okay, that was a former ability where it increased the damage of the Dark Knight. Using Flood of Darkness or Edge of Darkness, grant Dark Side. So basically using one of those two weird slashes that we saw in the previous video gives you this timer. And then it says this symbol, so it's talking about this, indicates that the Dark Arts effect has been granted. This occurs when the barrier applied by the action, the Blackest Night, has absorbed the full amount of damage. Flood of Darkness and Edge of Darkness can be performed by consuming the Dark Arts instead of MP while the effect is active. So that would explain potentially some of the free abilities if it only works for Flood of Darkness or Edge of Darkness, or maybe it interacts differently. But that would be a cool new interaction where your utility turns into damage, whereas before you would basically use your Blackest Night on yourself or on a party member and incoming damage, and then you would gain the blood meter in order to then use a weapon skill like Blood Spiller or Quietus or something of that nature. Whereas now it seems to be converting into basically making your high potency mana costing abilities free. And then they have a little pun here where it says the Edge is calling tonight, which is quite funny. So if that is true, that would be a cool intricate way on where you can managing your mana, as it were. So it's still that intricacy with Dark Knight like before. And it would be interesting to see how that kit kind of flourishes out as a whole, and we'll be able to see that more on Wednesday. Nextly, the Leaked White Mage ability. This is the one that gives them wings, so it has a 120-second recast, 2-minute recast time. It's an off GCD. Increases healing magic potency by 20%, while reducing damage taken by self and all party members within the radius of 30 ohms, which is massive, by 10%, and the duration is 20 seconds. So basically, every 2 minutes, you basically get God mode. So, and this is going to be super useful in ultimate fights, where there's basically like J-Waves from A8, back when you fought Brute Justice. This is also going to be super useful for stuff like potentially Almagest, where you can have the other healer kind of just put up shields initially, and then you can kind of take over. This is from Deltascape 5-4, where you fought, spacing out on his name, or also where they just keep pounding the ground, or basically a constant hitting of damage, a constant just wave after wave after wave after wave, and then big hit, and then wave after wave after wave again. This is obviously going to be super useful for that. So it's a really, really strong ability. So I would like to see how this kind of incorporates itself into the Final Fantasy raids, and how they develop the raids around these types of abilities, which are super, super strong. Because if they don't basically give us any need for it, so there's not enough damage coming out to warrant this type of usage, especially with this duration, then it's just going to be all at a lost cause. On to the next one. So we got the class changes here. So these are the role actions, so that every tank from what we saw, we get Arm's Length, which is the anti-knockback. This was formerly a melee ability. Interject and Low Blow, which were the silence and stun. Provoke, obviously. Rampart, obviously still there. Reprisal, still there. And Shirk is still there. For melees, for what we know, Arm's Length, Bloodbath, Feint, which is reduced damage dealt, formerly split off from the previous virus. Leg Sweep, the stun. Second Wind to recover HP, and True North to ignore positionals. So the only one that seems to be removed from here would be Goad, Diversion, and then a couple others that I'm potentially missing out there. For range, they get Arm's Length as well, which is super, super cool. The Bind, the Silence, the Heavy. These are also probably going to be used in raids. They said they're going to be looking to more to having specific roles perform specific actions for boss CC. So very similar to A6, where you fight the robots. The first one, you have to basically silence the mind blast, otherwise everyone got confused. Peloton movement speed increase, that's going to be was out of combat. Whether it's changed, we don't know. And then second wind as usual. Casters getting the short end of the stick with only 4 abilities, albeit they are very powerful. So they have Addle, Lucid Dreaming, Swift Cast, and Surecast. This is the tooltip said that this Surecast has a 2-minute recast time, where previously it was 30 seconds, which is obviously a big nerf. So they obviously don't want you to be constantly basically negating every knockback as a caster. I guess that's going to be your crutch as a caster. You're going to have to use this a little bit smarter rather than just, I can stop every knockback. I'd much rather see it at 1 minute rather than 2. I think at 2 minutes it's not short enough, and I think at 30 seconds it was too good. And then healers, they have Asuna, which they had before, Lucid Dreaming, same as before. Apparently Rescue still exists, Swift Cast, Surecast, and then 1 new action. I'm not sure what this action is, if it says anything. Down here, don't see anything down there. But yeah, so this is what we're looking at here for these. Next, this is very hard to see. I'm going to see if I can make the picture a lot bigger so we can get in here. So this is an instant cast ability called Inner Chaos. This is apparently a warrior skill. It has a recast time of 2.3 seconds. It says delivers a critical direct hit with potency of 900. Can't really make out what this is. It says reduce the recast time of, I would assume this is Infuriate, by 5 seconds, and I assume this probably says beast gauge cost of 50, and then it says can only be executed while under the effect of nascent chaos. Effect ends upon execution. So this looks to be that leaked skill in the Payspin article that they were talking about, warrior with a huge potency ability. So the conditions are this nascent chaos. So I guess you have something other than inner release where you have to go into this berserker mode, as it were, and then you can have access to this ability, which costs 50 gauge. So that seems to be a pretty really ridiculous ability. Now, obviously, potency isn't everything because everyone mathed out potency back when the Stormblood jobs were all being released, saying, "Oh, look, Dark Knight and Paladin, they do all this crazy potency, and Warrior end up doing more anyway." So in terms of potency math, things are a lot different. Calculated job by job, so we'll have to see kind of how this kind of works in tandem with their kit as well. So that's gonna do it for all the leaks today. Hopefully we get some more in the coming days, and if we do, I'll make sure to let you guys know about them. But until then, it's a good night for me, Pilot Flame, signing out till next time.